Hello everyone and welcome to the Action Figuratorium. My name is Mark Major. I am a real big toy collector here in Southeast Portland. I'm also an old school sales and marketing guy. One of the things that I do on this channel is I do marketing analysis of indie toy company Kickstarters. Now, one I did recently was actually an autopsy of a failed campaign, and I thought it was worth checking out because of the guy who did the campaign. Shardimus Prime is the #1 action figure YouTuber by subscriber count, and so we should definitely be studying his campaign, whether it failed or succeeded. Now, that video did quite well by my own personal standards. By YouTube standards, I'm still a nothing burger, a total nobody. But thanks to Ryan at the 3PO podcast who posted on Facebook, I got quite a bit of traffic on it. I got a lot of comments on it, and I got a lot of new subscribers. And so if you're one of those new subscribers, welcome. I'm hoping to keep you as a new subscriber. I'm hoping to keep the excitement level and the type of content going that will entertain you and make you keep coming back. So please allow a chance for me to fulfill on that promise. Now, one of the things that was a result of making that video was some people out there made rebuttal videos to it, which of course I love. I love the fact that there's a discussion. I love the fact that people are, if they're not at least critical thinking and they're doing their biased thinking, at least they're doing thinking, and they're coming up with their own reactions to it. And that to me, believe it or not, is great. And initially, I myself thought that I should address some of these rebuttals because I think some of the things that got said in the rebuttals missed some of the points I made. I also feel that they didn't watch the video all the way to the end, because if you watch that video and you go to the 19-minute and 35-second mark, you'll see that I actually have a positive take overall on the Street Humans campaign, right? So rather than make a video where I just address that, I think a better use of everyone's time is a bigger issue that is out there in the indie toy company crowdfund space, and that is that these people launching campaigns are not doing any marketing research before they launch. And that is kind of the new elephant in the room that I would like to address. Now, in today's video, I am not going to just go through some bullet points of some things you should do and you shouldn't do. This is not going to be that video. Just the opposite. Today we are going to be naming names. We are going to be calling people out. We're going to be shining a light on some of the campaigns that have and have not really done any kind of marketing research, and to me it shows. And of course, you know, a bit of a spoiler, we are going to go back and start with Street Humans and address the things that came up in the rebuttals. So everybody strap on your leather like you're going to a Slayer concert and hold on tight. Let's cut over, shall we, to our desktop cam, and let's do it through the power of a portal. Oh, look at that. It's like the production value is has just tripled on this show, and it's almost like a real show, folks, wouldn't you say? Okay, so the Street Humans, as I stated, there was a positive ending to my video that a lot of people didn't make it to. I understand. When you see some guy in his 50s who's doing this kind of autistic rambling, it's hard to stay focused. I sometimes can't, when I watch back my videos, I myself can't make it all the way in. I understand. But if you got far enough, you would say that I said good on Russ for hitting $90,000, and that maybe if he was to adjust how much money he was asking from $120,000 down to $90,000 and adjust the product accordingly, maybe he could get this thing made, and if he gets it made, maybe he could then turn the corner and start something new. A lot of people missed out on that, and they just focused on some of the other things that were in the video, which is great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put them in the video. Now, to the people who've said, well, if the issue is simply price, you can't just lower the price on something that is this intricate toy with X amount of articulation and parts and things like that. And so this is where the marketing research or lack of is coming into evidence here, because if you're a cat who has some 650,000 subscribers, and you have any kind of thing like Discord, or you have a Patreon, or you just have membership only streams where you can bring people on and you can chat with people and you can do polls and you can put up images and you can ask for people's feedback, you could find out how much people are willing to pay and what the kind of things are that they like. And so as an example of street humans, let's say that we drop the alien thing. As I mentioned in the previous video when we looked through the Reddit, a lot of people didn't get into that. It was a bit of a confusion and a bit of a downer. Let's say we were calling these guys street thugs, and they are simply just background characters for superheroes to fight, okay? So it's just a dude who comes in a wife beater, right? Let's say that we determined that the target price that people were willing to pay for a background extra was 20 bucks. How do you get that down in price? Well, as I said in the other video, do you need to offer it with the 2 or 3 extra heads? Now, if you do marketing research, you would find out if that's the deal breaker or not. I'm willing to guess, because I've been collecting toys for a long time, and I know people that collect toys, and I know the kind of people that buy these indie projects. I'm willing to guess that the answer is no, that you don't need those extra heads. Does it need, at the same time, need to come with extra hands? At 20 bucks for a background thug, I'm willing to guess no. Does it need to come with any accessories like a baseball bat? I'm willing to guess, again, I haven't done the research, but I'm willing to put forward that no, it does not. You can get the price down by eliminating that stuff. Now, some of you are like, well, you know, I would pay more if it came with that stuff. Yes, I understand that. That is an opportunity for a separate sale. You sell, as I said, a separate pack with heads and hands, and it comes with a baseball bat, and it comes with a board with a nail in it, and it comes with some brass knuckles, and it comes with a broken bottle, and it comes with some chains, and, you know, all that kind of gack could all be sold separately to people who want it. If the other people don't want that stuff, you're not going to be able to force that onto them. Do you understand that? Now, let's say that you still cannot get the price down to $20 with eliminating that extra gack. What could you do? Do you need to have 31 points of articulation? Would 28 suffice? Would 24 points suffice? Would 21 points? What about 15 points? What if you took these down to 15 points of articulation and it doesn't come with anything, but you could sell these guys for like between 15 and 20 bucks, right? Maybe you don't make as much money on each figure. Maybe you make $2, $3, $4, $5 each figure, but you sell a lot more figures. It's called scaling. It's how companies like Samsung are able to do what they do. They sell a lot of cheap phones, and the fact that they sell huge volumes is how they scale up to being able to sell mid-sized phones and luxury phones. So maybe that is what you do. And then, as I stated before in all my videos where I talk about best practice, you offer a deluxe figure. Maybe that's the black guy, right? And he comes with a couple extra heads and some extra hands and that kind of stuff, and you're charging like 30, 35 bucks for him. And then maybe there's a luxury figure who's got 41 points of articulation. Maybe that's an Asian guy because he can do ninja moves. I know that sounds like a kind of a cliche stereotype, but you do your marketing research and you figure out what people want, what they're willing to buy, and it doesn't matter what it is as long as people are giving you their money, okay? Do you understand? I think a lot of you guys are picking up what I'm talking about, in that you have to adjust the product to what people are willing to pay. You do not squeeze people through the bottle to get them to pay what you want them to pay for some product that you think is cool that they do not want, right? So, there's also the deal with packaging. Do these things, if they're called street thugs and you're just army building them, do they even need packaging? Could they come in a plastic bag that has cardboard with a name Sharpied on it, street thugs, and you staple it? Do you even need that? Could you just take one of those sealers, put them in a bag and seal it? Maybe you have your 12-year-old kid in the kitchen staying up all night working for cookies, right? Making these things, because that is the type of sacrifices that you have to make if you're a startup business in America. That is the American dream, that if you're willing to hustle extra hard and work for cookies, you will get ahead, and one day you'll have your own factory in the backyard with its own robot machine that does all this for you, okay? So that is Street Humans. No marketing research was done on this. He did not understand the pricing, did not understand what anybody wanted. I found all that out not through my personal opinion, but I found that through going to a Reddit post. I actually found 2 Reddit posts. That's where I found all the information I needed that I used as my focus group. Let's move on to another campaign, people. Let's talk about Monstores. This is a campaign that is run by Dave Igo of Igo Stuff. I watched Dave on some podcasts, and I really liked the guy. I was not necessarily behind the product per se, because I felt, you know, it's a bit of a lot of money for kind of a weird mutant creature in sort of the vein of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sort of a Big Daddy Roth. But I get it. It's a designer toy, and some people like this stuff, and some people love this stuff. So what did I do? I spent $10. I backed the campaign. I bought the sticker pack. I couldn't get behind spending $55 for a figure, but I wanted to put good vibes out there. I wanted it to succeed. I wanted to help out, and he was cool enough to know to put out a $10 sticker pack. You can at least get that as a sale from somebody, and if you sell enough sticker packs, who knows? Maybe you can fund it with that money alone. It's not that hard to ship out and generate a sticker pack, is it? But here is the thing about market research on this that I'm going to make a point about. When you watched him on podcasts, and a lot of enthusiasm, by the way. This is a cat who's definitely a leader, and you're going to see a lot more of Dave Igo in the future. But when he went on podcasts, he kept saying over and over again that this is a toy for kids. Now, I understand. Trust me, guys. I used to sell guitars for a living. I worked for 3 different guitar shops. I worked all over the Portland area selling guitars, right? When you are selling, you are taking money. If someone says, is this a toy for kids? You're taking money. Of course it's a toy for kids. Is this a toy for Grandpa? Yes, it is. Would Grandma like this toy? Yes, she would. What about her grandkids? How many does she have? She has 10. Better buy 20. Would my wife like this toy? Yes, your wife would love this toy. You should get her this toy. What about her sisters? Buy some for her. If you are selling toys, you are taking money. Of course these are for kids. But, and I'm not telling Dave to STFU about this, because I understand, as I just stated, the art of selling. But this did not have any marketing research that went into it to make it a kid's toy line. That is a completely different school. That involves making prototypes, putting them out for kids to come in and play with, seeing which ones they grab, seeing which ones they react with, seeing how they play with them, seeing what age of toys, also making different colors, seeing which kind of colors they reacted to. There's also a thing with choking hazards. Also, kids' toys do not cost $55. That is a designer toy, okay? Kids' toys are much, much cheaper than that. There's no parent, like, even rich parents going to spend $55 on a single toy for their kid. Also, this is a Kickstarter that's going to take a minimum of 2 years. And the minute you mention Chinese New Year, put another year onto it. Look up any of these Kickstarters. Look at their updates. They all go, yeah, we're doing great, doing great, doing great. And then all of a sudden they mention Chinese New Year. That's another year, okay? How old are your kids going to be when this finally comes out? We don't know, because we don't know when it's coming out, right? Did you see this? You're going to buy it for your kids, and your kids are 2, and you're like, well, they're going to love this when they're 5. I'm going to get it now. No, this is not a toy for kids. Again, not telling Dave to shut up, because when you're taking money, and you owe it to yourself when you're selling to take money, just know he did not do the marketing research to make this as a toy line for kids. Now, is this a vanity project? It's definitely a passion project if you watched him on any of the shows, but he is not some guy who works at the lumber mill and wants to make this toy in his spare time. Dave is a designer, and he goes to Designer Con and all those kinds of things. He is really in the category of artists, and this is really more of an artisanal toy, in my opinion. Again, it's nothing that I wanted to spend $55 on. If I owned it, I would probably cherish it. I would not kick it out of bed. I would not resell it. I would find a place for it to go somewhere. I specifically collect shark action figures. It just wasn't in my budget, but again, if I had endless disposable income, I would probably throw money at all this stuff, because I myself am here to back, support, and do what I can to keep the indie toy companies going. And while you might think that I'm on the attack, I'm trying to make this as good as we can, because I want all these guys to be sitting on the hill when the Hasbros, Super 7s, and Funkos go under. This is who I'm looking to for the future. Let's move on, shall we? Speaking of vanity projects, has anyone mentioned Flipor? Okay, Flipor, you might think, is the vanity project of Mad Hatter Reviews. I think his real name is Neary. I haven't done a lot of research, also don't care. For the record, I am a guy, that's right, a guy, who goes by his real name and does not hide behind a mask. Just saying that. People are allowed to keep their aliases, though. This is the internet, I understand. But is this simply a vanity project that went viral? Well, on the one hand, if someone were to casually ask me, I would say that yes, this is. But it is not just a single project of one guy. This is actually a composite of different characters. This is a team of different YouTubers, as well as a toy designer who sadly passed away, but should be noted they had a guy who designed the toy who was part of the team. Also, it has a real toy manufacturer behind it who's going to produce the toy and is helping them at every step of the way to make sure that this thing fulfills, okay? So this is a real project, and I would say that it's almost a real company, right? Now, was there any kind of marketing research? You would think that, no, this was just dreamed up on a napkin and one day he launched it. However, I have been watching several of the people behind this, and they had this idea for Flipor for a long time. It was talked about for a long time, and eventually it turned into a prototype that made its way into different people's YouTube channels as a skit. And that was actually how I found out about it, as a skit. And so this thing, before it became a crowdfund, was bandied about, right? It was in the milieu. It was in everybody's mind before they decided to launch it. So you could say that, yes, this did have a market research to it. Now, as to whether or not this is valid because of the fact that, in essence, it is a vanity project, let me bring up a real-world example that might resonate with you. Does anybody remember the band Tool? Okay, just to give you some context, Tool a few years ago played here in Portland, Oregon, which is where I'm at, and they played the Rose Garden, which has been renamed the Moda Center. That gets a thumb down on the name. But I used to work in live event production. I know personally the people who worked in production on that show, and they shared with me how much money Tool grossed in merchandise sales. And the number from that one show was $900,000. Okay, so who plays drums for Tool? Well, it's a guy named Dana Carey. And what you guys don't know is that before Tool, he was in a different band playing professionally, as well as some other pickup groups like some jazz bands and stuff like that. And he happened to see the guys, the guitarist and the singer in the band Tool, at his rehearsal space. And he didn't join them because he said, oh, this is going to make a lot of money and I want to be in on this. No, he actually joined them because he felt bad that they couldn't find a drummer. And so he said, you know what, guys, I'll play drums for you. Now look what is he doing for a living. So anything that might be your side project or anything that you might be a goof might become your real job. You don't get to pick, okay? If you're an artist and you come up with 10 ideas, and the public says, yeah, idea number 7, that's the one we like, well, that's the one you're doing the rest of your life. Does anyone here think Lou Reed, when he wrote Walk on the Wild Side, was signing up for 40 plus years of ending every single concert in his life by playing Walk on the Wild Side? Well, guess what, Lou? You don't, rest in peace, you don't get to pick, okay? So this might become a thing, vanity project or not, but it did have some marketing research behind it. We're going to move on to a couple more because I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing me yap. And, you know, again, like I've said before, you can even put me in that group. Does anybody know this toy, Odius 1/12? Now, this is one of the figures that I factored into my video on marketing best practices of crowd funds, right? It was successful, but it was barely successful. And this is one of the things that defined the do's and don'ts of what you should be doing to get the biggest number you can. This guy who launched this, I believe his name is Wade from Wade's Customs, and his company is Unparalleled Universe. He only had this one figure. There was nothing else. There was a kind of a variety where you could get it without the clothes for 50 bucks rather than 80 bucks. But it was just this one figure. There was nothing else you could buy. There was no Frisbees. There was no keychains. There was no trucker hats. There was no jock straps. There was none of that kind of stuff, which, by the way, if you were going to do like some kind of a Clockwork Orange action figure line, you'd want to sell jock straps, right? And if you were someone pledging, you'd probably want to get one for yourself and one for your wife. He only had this, but it crossed the line, but just barely. Who knows what would have happened if he would have had more variety, three-tiered pricing, if he had a bunch of extras to fill out to earn some extra money. Who knows? However, he won on fun factor, and this has gone on to become one of the sort of unsung heroes of action figure toy collecting out there. But he actually did some market research because he was selling essentially the head as a custom before he launched the toy. So he knew that this was something that people were willing to buy. And I gotta say, he got kind of lucky. Now, on this toy and the Flipor, I feel that both of those are one-hit wonders. And I'm skeptical that either team is going to be able to produce a second wave of really anything. That there's going to be a follow-up to this that's successful, that there's going to be a follow-up to Flipor that is successful. However, as I stated many times in my videos, I'm the dumbest guy in the room. When I walk into a room and it's full of con men, right, I don't know who the victim is going to be, in which case I need to find that out. And if you think that you're the smartest guy in the room, you're often the victim of the con. So when I go into a room, I'm the dumbest guy, and so I probably can't see what's coming in terms of the next thing. He might have another hit on his hands, the follow-up to Flipor, maybe even bigger than Flipor. I don't know, but I'm skeptical these guys are going to follow up. However, we'll have to wait and see, and if I'm wrong, good on them. Nobody wants these people to fail. I'm just looking at the numbers and trying to do the best prediction I can to remain a critical, unbiased thinker. All right, we're going to move on to one more campaign because we are talking about marketing research. Savage Crucible. If you had to look at, study, and copy a single action figure Kickstarter line for your own, it would be Savage Crucible. Now, I have watched the owner of Harbinger Studios, which is the guys that put this out. He actually has a huge team of people that work for him. Rob himself claims he has no talent. However, a good leader will say things like that because I have watched him on podcasts, and this is a guy who is always learning. He is always taking notes. And I got the chance to ask him via the power of Super Chat a question. And it was a type of marketing question. And his response told me that this guy is willing to look, listen, and go with the best course that presents itself. And looking at the figures, and look, I have one right here, okay? My only regret on Savage Crucible, the campaign, is that I don't have big enough disposable income to have bought absolutely everything. My regret is that not that I didn't buy enough, but that I couldn't buy enough because I am so hooked on this line, I cannot tell you guys how I'm excited to see the smoking ruins of the Mattel's, Hasbro, Super 7s, and Funkos out there, and looking to wait and see that it is a big citadel that says Savage Crucible on it. This is the toy line that we are all going to be getting into for the next 5 to 10 years. This is going to be one of the market leaders, and it is because this guy, Rob Post, and his team do market research. These guys know what people want. They know how to price things. They know how to release things. They understand production. They understand fulfillment. They understand the artistry, but most of all, they understand what people want, and they are the guys who are delivering it. You are going to be seeing more of these boxes. You're going to be seeing more of these figures in the future everywhere. If you're not seeing them now, it's simply because the boat hasn't arrived on the shores yet. So, thank you to everybody who has made it this far into the video. I appreciate all the new subs, and I appreciate all the new views, and I look forward to hearing comments. And you guys know that if you can change my mind with a good argument, I am always willing to listen, because that is what truly intelligent people do. They listen and they adjust accordingly. So with that, you guys stay charged.